truly. Good evening, good evening. Can you hear me now? Because I just realized I was on mute for 10 seconds. But good evening and welcome back to the Fly Show. I am yours truly, the host, Jasmine D. Millhouse, and I am so super excited to be back here on this evening continuing on the journey of education. But tonight, last week, we were in the administration side of education. But tonight, we're going to be getting in the classroom. So I am going to be interviewing two phenomenal teachers that I happen to know personally who are so amazing, multi talented, but we ain't gonna get into all that. We're gonna do their bios before I get into, rambling, because I can ramble. But before I do that, let us know where you're watching from. Make sure you tag someone in the comments, share this on your page, share this in your groups, because we are going to be digging a little bit deeper again into the education system. So I have two of my great friends that I'm going to be talking to tonight. First, I have Mr. Jalen Heggs, and I'm going to read a little bit about his bio. Okay. So, Jalen Heggs is the 2022 marks the fifth year as a teacher, but his third year at Chapel Hill Middle School. He currently teaches sixth grade reading. However, he also taught sixth grade English language arts and social studies during his first 2 years. He teaches in the Douglas County school system here in Georgia. He is a native of Augusta, home of the Masters Golf Tournament by way of old Watley, Georgia, a small country town where everybody knows everybody, a product of the Richmond County school system. He graduated from John S. Davidson Fine Arts Magnet School, located in Augusta, Georgia, and is happens to be one of the top schools in the nation. Upon receiving his high school diploma, he attended and graduated summa cum laude from the Georgia State University in Atlanta, where he received his Bachelor of Science in middle level education with a concentration in English language arts. In the midst of the COVID-19 pandemic, he received his master's degree in instructional technology. I got to make sure I pronounce my word right. I'm talking to teachers tonight, y'all, okay? They'll get you. All right. So let me put that out there. From the Kennesaw State University, located here in Kennesaw, Georgia, during the course of the program, he continued to excel by maintaining a 4.0 GPA while effectively and successfully providing optimal learning experiences for his students. He is currently pursuing his doctorate degree in middle grades education at Brownell, I hope I said that right, University in Gainesville, Georgia. I ain't gonna tell you all his business about his spare time, but if he busts out into a song, don't judge him, okay? Because he got vocal cords for days. We just gonna put that right there. All right. Getting into the next bio, Mrs. LaTosha Finch is a native of Atlanta, Georgia. She is the daughter of the greatest GMR Madtox and the phenomenal Cynthia L. Madtox. She is the youngest of six. By way, she's the only girl. She got all brothers, okay? And she hold it down like no other. Her foundation is in Christ and is her most prized possession. Her parents instilled in her and each of her brothers as well the value of having a personal relationship with God and obtaining great education. They pushed her to continue to go and pursue towards her destiny. She knew her calling was to work with children, so she obtained a bachelor's degree in child and family development in 2002 from Georgia Southern University. After graduation, she was employed by Clayton County Department of Family and Children Services as a foster care case manager. She was committed to her job for over 8 years, but she knew that was not her calling. In 2008, she left that department and returned to school full time, graduated from Georgia State University with a degree in early childhood education. She began working at J.H. House Elementary in 2015 as a fourth grade teacher. She is still there and recently was just awarded School Teacher of the Year. They made a video and everything, y'all. It was beautiful. Okay, beautiful. All right. So, not only that, but she is pursuing her third degree at Kennesaw State University. She is married to the love of her life, Mr. Ennis J. Finch, and they are the proud parents of two beautiful daughters, London and India Finch. Now, out of all of that, I can't wait till we get into this interview. It is my honor, and I say this every week, but this is dear to me, y'all. It is my honor, it is my privilege to introduce to you all my brother and my sister, Mr. Jalen Heggs and Mrs. LaTosha Finch. Good evening.
Hello.
Good evening.
How are you all doing?
Doing well. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful. Are y'all excited about this evening?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, yes, yes.
All right. So I'm not gonna prolong the time too long. Okay. So getting into this evening, my first question to you all, just getting to know your journey. I know I've read your bios, gotten to, where you started in the beginning. But my first question for you is outside of your bio, who and how do you define who you are? And I'll start first with Dr. Finch.
How do I define who I am?
Yes.
Um, I would say based on, like the bio said, my foundation, which is first Christ. I've been going to church since the womb. Um, my father is a pastor, and of course, my mom is a first lady. So, growing up, we went to church. We learned how to, some may believe this, some may not, but we learned how to hear the voice of God. So I knew that I had a passion for children. And I think when you're drawn to something, that's how you know it's for you. So I was drawn to children, and as a little girl playing school all the time. Um, so I define who I am based on my Christian beliefs and what was instilled in me as a child.
Jalen.
Um, very similar to Tasha. I also um, was raised in a very spiritual, church-going household family, and so that is who I am. That drives me on a day-to-day basis,
Mhm.
and being that most of my family, including my mother, are all educators, dating back to my great grandmother, Maddie Walden. That's when schools were not even integrated. It's just something that's just in me. One thing's for certain is when I graduated from Davidson in 2013 to go to Georgia State, my first major, technically, if you would be broadcast journalism. And so
Mm.
yes, very different. But I wrestled with that after having played, as Tasha says, having played Schoolhouse. My mother, if she is on, she'll tell you in my room, I legitimately had all of the alphabets at the top, near the top of the ceiling of my bedroom, all around A through Z. Now, I'm the only child, so I can't teach nobody else but myself. But that just goes to show you that it was instilled in me at a young age, and I tried to do something different, but God said no, and I kept wrestling with that decision, and I literally made that decision to go into education, as I had first started out to do as a young kid. I made that decision very quickly, and I found peace with that decision. But yes, I base myself off of my upbringing, your church going, of course. Um, It's just who I am, and I wouldn't change it for the world.
Mm. And going through, just knowing in your early ages, like in your bio for you, LaTosha, you were working with children, but not necessarily hands on directly in a classroom setting. It was more, foster care and different things like that with the Department of Family and Children Services.
Mm-hmm.
For you, what made you, or what clicked in your mind to say, this is not for me? I have to be in the room doing what I know I love.
Um, it was a process. It took a while for me to say, okay, this is it. I'm going to go ahead and adhere to what I'm called to do.
Mhm.
Um, but I would say I don't regret those 8 years at all. I don't regret them at all. I learned so much through that process. Um, I learned how to deal with hurting children. I learned how to deal with abused children. And that impacts the way I teach today. Um, so, but it wasn't until I started becoming ill within my body. I was so stressed out, and I was going home with a migraine every day, every day. And um, my husband and I talked about it, and he said, okay, it's time. But we took the time to prepare. It wasn't just, okay, I'm quitting. We had to prepare for that. And it
Mhm.
actually, if I'm not mistaken, it actually took us 2 years to prepare.
Wow.
Um, so we prepared for me to leave that job and to go back to school full time to pursue what I knew I was supposed to do.
Mm. And for you, Jalen, what was that moment to say, okay, broadcasting, and journalism, although you speak so eloquently and, to throw that out there, what was it for you that says, okay, this may not be what's for me? I want to go back to my early childhood passion. What was it that clicked for you?
Um, what clicked for me was, again, I wrestled with the decision to do broadcast journalism. And while I love the idea of reporting the news or being on television to be an anchor,
Hmm.
is something about impacting a child that is fulfilling. That's a feeling that I can truly say, from what I have heard others tell me and from what I know and experience, no other profession has this opportunity. As Tasha just stated, we deal with students of all caliber, of all kinds on a day-to-day basis. And I feel that because of my upbringing and because of who I am, there's something about me, something in me, God, that is dwelling on the inside of me that allows me to make connections with these kids that are
Mm.
everlasting, even beyond when they leave my classroom. And so to have seen my mom and her students, when they see her in the stores, it could be years down the line. She could have taught them 6, 4 years ago. And to see that light in their eyes when they see her, I said, I want that same thing to happen to me. And I know that there are very, very, very few Black male teachers in classrooms today.
That's right.
So that's another thing that propelled me. My first Black male teacher was Mr. Pugh. He may be watching. He's now a teacher in Cobb County. And he was my first Black male teacher, and that was in 6th grade. And as I think on it, he was the only Black male teacher I've ever had
Wow.
while in grade school.
Wow.
So um, there is a need for us in the classrooms.
Mhm.
Our girls, yes, but our boys especially, our Black boys, they need to see us visible in the classroom. They need to see us that we take education seriously,
Mm.
see us in a different light. It's more than just being a rap artist. are being a basketball star player, football player. They need to see us active in education. So here's that.
And with both, hearing both of you, going from one profession to another, making such a jump. But in your situation, LaTosha, you and your husband having to make the decision to say, we have to decide what is best for not only you physically, mentally, and spiritually, but how are we going to set up our home to make sure we're not bound as well. What do you think, or what role do you feel fear played in that decision? Or did it have space in that decision?
It definitely had space in that decision. To have worked so many years and then to say, okay, I'm leaving that check. And we had one child at that time who
Mhm.
was already in school. But fear played a big role to walk into the unknown,
Mhm.
not knowing, how this is really going to turn out. Am I going to get a job right away? So,
Right,
okay, I'm quitting this job. I'm going back to school full time, but how long is it going to take me to get a job?
right.
Um, but to me, there was no other choice, really. And with the support of my husband, he had more faith than I did. I'll say that he
Mm.
had more faith than I did to walk out and care for three people off of one income. That's so hard, so difficult. And when you're accustomed to having not really everything that you want, that wasn't the case,
Right,
but to be able to go and purchase some things, at will,
right.
but then for that to change and okay, this is our budget and we
Mhm.
have to stick to that budget.
Right.
That was very difficult. But I was able to overcome that fear through much prayer and through much support. And it was rewarding also because I was able to spend more time at my daughter's school,
Mhm.
volunteer there. That gave me more time, not only with my daughter, but also within the classroom.
Right.
So, yeah, fear played a big role for me.
Mhm. And in your change, Jalen, did it play one for you as well, or was it just okay? This is what I want, and I'm gonna just jump on in.
This is what I want. I'm just gonna jump on it. I mean, I wrestled with it. So it was
Right.
like no. And when I went to my advisor that day and told him that I wanted to change, once it was changed, I was no longer wrestling with that decision that I made. I knew that I made the right decision.
And for Jalen, he was younger in
Mm,
school.
yeah.
I had to think about an entire family, which
Family.
makes it,
Yeah.
different. So
Right.
he did it at the right time. Whereas as I was telling some people last night, I took the scenic route.
Mm.
So,
Yeah.
it was kind of different
Right.
for me.
Yeah. So in jumping into the classroom, and I'll start this question with Jalen. How do you create a open community and a culture of continuous improvement that aligns with the operating plans to achieve strategic outcomes?
Okay, repeat that one more time. That was very convoluted. See, I had to use a big word
Come
just for
on, big word.
that. That was a
I'm
lot.
glad.
Wait,
Look,
can you
I'm
repeat it
glad
one more
I'm look.
time?
I'm glad I know how to read and I know what you're talking about. Hold on. Okay, so let me break it down. How
Uh-huh.
do you create the culture in your classroom that improves and aligns with the school's plans to improve like strategies in building education, building the numbers, teaching someone that may come in on one level, and how do you work on getting them to the level where you need them to be before they leave your class?
Okay. So basically, I will say this. I believe it is every educator's desire to make sure that their students don't leave the same way that they came.
Mm-hmm.
What I mean by that is, of course, making sure that by the end of that school year, that child has learned everything he or she needs to know to be successful for life as well as the next grade. In my classroom, the first thing that I do is make sure within that first week that they know we are all a family. So it is important to build a culture that represents just that. So we do a little activity where I'll get them to go to the board, and I will have in the center. And some of you guys who are on my page, you may have seen me do this posts in the past. But in the center of that circle on the board, I put the word classroom, and I'd have students go to the board to put in different adjectives or different things they think the classroom should be made of, different attributes and characteristics that a classroom should possess. And so when they do that activity, they come to find out that many of them share the same thing in common, and that is a positive learning environment. And something that I hold over them as the school year goes along, despite the changes that they go through and everything of that nature, I remind them of what they've already said they wanted to achieve and what the classroom should be like at the beginning of the school year. And I believe that positive atmosphere, that recognizes that no two people are alike and that we all bring something unique to the table,
Mm-hmm.
is needed in education and in the classrooms, particularly today, as our kids are exposed to so much. And so, with that being said, I allow that to be the foundation of our classroom. And of course, as we grow and as we learn, we just keep hold and keep fast to those ideals. And they know, my students know, when we're going over certain topics and content matter, if a student doesn't get it, I find that my students will kind of help out others who may not understand what something is going on right then and there, because I do have classrooms of 31, sometimes 26, and I'm only one person. I have no parapro. And so I have my strong helpers who are able to help out those who may need a little bit more push and a little bit more assistance. And that all is because of what we did when the school year first started, acknowledging that we are a family. So we don't want to make sure we don't leave any behind. We want to chug this thing together. And so I believe that's what happens in my classroom. And I think I answered your question.
So you did, and that kind of jumps me a little bit before LaTosha, before you start. See, LaTosha, you teach fifth grade.
Yes.
So you're preparing the students that's going to Jalen's grade. And for you, with getting them prepared from elementary school and getting them ready for middle school, what does that look like? What is that? What are the dynamics of that in your classroom?
It's similar to what Jalen said. Those first few weeks of school are vital.
Mm-hmm.
They are vital for setting that foundation, how your room will flow. And I do the same thing. I tell them that we are a family
Right.
and we work together, we cry together, we push each other, we support each other, we do all of that.
Right.
And I do an activity where we go outside and I group them and like 4 or 5 kids in a group. And the instructions are, okay, this is your starting line. We're about to race. This is your starting line. Everyone will start at the same time. You're going to run as fast as you can, but everybody has to meet at the finish line at the same time. Is that even possible? No,
No.
it's not. If you're
Mhm.
running as fast as you can, everybody does not run at the same speed. So
Right.
I tell them we will not all get it at the same time. We will not all grasp
Mm-hmm.
these concepts at the same time. But with the support of each other, at some point the light is going to go off. You'll see the light and you'll get it. So be patient with your friends, with your brothers and sisters, and help each other. So I definitely do that at the beginning of the year. And as far as preparing them for middle school, they're rising middle schoolers.
Mm.
So there are, they can tell you that I have a balance of love and strict structure. So they know that Miss Finch loves them with all of their heart. I'll play with you. We can joke around at the right time. But when
Mm.
it's that instructional time, that's my time to get you where you need to be. Now, all of them, in all honesty, will not get to the same point to where they need to be because they're all different. But
Right.
I'm pushing them as far as I can while I have them so
Mm.
that once they get to Jalen, then they can read, if not at a seventh grade level, they're leaving fifth grade. When they came in fifth grade, they were at a third grade level. But when they're leaving fifth, they're on a fifth grade level. So he doesn't have that much more to do.
Right.
So you get them as far as you can while you have them.
Mm. And
But
that,
building the community and that classroom environment is
right.
so crucial, so
Yeah.
crucial.
It
Yeah.
is. And I'm glad you said that. It's crucial because people don't realize, and we always tell like the first year teachers this, making sure that yes, we've got to do the content matter. We've got to teach. But if you don't have that classroom culture and that structure in place, you won't be able to teach. And so
Exactly.
those first couple of weeks are, like she said, vital. You just can't go
Mhm.
into, all right, let's start talking about the Great Depression. No, no.
Because it's gonna make you depressed. That, and you know that, just like Darlene just put in, that strategy can fit in so many other areas in life because it not only prepares them educationally, but it also gives them that strategy to prepare in different areas at
Mhm.
home, becoming an adult, making adult decisions, learning how to, okay, balance, work life balance, school life balance. I got to do my
Mhm.
work because Miss Finch love me, but I know she don't play and she gonna
Exactly.
get the work done. Mr. Heggs, he my teacher, but I also respect him to enough that I'm gonna give forth everything that I have, because not only do I want to make my teacher, not look good per se, but feel good that I'm putting forth all the effort that I have as their student to do my work. And in the moments where I may not understand or I may not get it, I'm I know that I can approach them to say, "Hey, I need some help." And that's also key. I feel like in other areas as well, is having that open door moment where you can say, if you need help, if you need assistance, I'm here to help you. And with that, how do you hold yourself accountable as the teacher to know in those moments that you're going to have those students that may not get what you're saying in the beginning, but how do you hold yourself accountable to develop and implement a way for you to know, okay, well, student A and student B is different. How can I teach to where student A and student B can both get it? How do you do that? How easy is that for you?
For me, it would be having that conversation with students. So I have conference times with my students where they're able to openly tell me, okay, I'm struggling with this. And it's not in front of the entire class. So they're more open and more apt to tell you I'm struggling. But how I hold myself accountable, I ask my students, okay, we talk about your expectations, but what do you expect from me?
Mm.
And they hold me accountable. So on those days, I might be a little bit frustrated, Miss Finch. I mean, they get me together, and they don't mind vocalizing their concerns,
Right.
but but they know to do it in a respectful way.
Mhm.
But my job is to teach them, and I keep that at the forefront of my mind, that
Mhm.
this is my goal, is to get them where they need to be. But having those one-on-one conversations with them is very beneficial. I'll say it that way. They are very beneficial so that you know where they are. And once you find out where they are, I think we do a lot of small groups. I don't know if they do that in middle school or not, but we do small groups where we can hone in on those areas that the students are struggling in. So they have
Mhm.
more access to me, but at the same time, they're learning from their peers too. So that peer to peer engagement is so important. So if there's a lot of times I say, all right, turn and talk to your friends, and they'll want to raise their hand to share with me. You got to share with your friend first before you talk to me, right?
Right.
So, so I think that peer interaction helps them a lot as they try and grow and learn.
And I have we just got a question that was posed by a parent, and as a teacher, the question asks, she's asking, how can we as parents assist the teachers with the excellence of the children?
Mm.
So I guess I will start with this one, and maybe Tasha
Go ahead,
after.
Jalen.
For me, being that I do teach sixth grade reading, um, and middle school, sixth grade being the first level or sector of middle school, one of the things that I can truly say teaching reading is having students to have books at home. Oftentimes, there are several students who come to me, as Tasha just mentioned, not reading on grade level.
Mm.
Mhm.
And like I tell my students and I tell my parents, the more a child reads, the better he or she will become. There is no set way. Of course, you can teach comprehension strategies and such, and all of that good thing, but there is no set way to really improve upon that skill other than being exposed to it. And what I'm finding out is that a lot of our students, especially our African American community of Black men and our girls, they're not being exposed to books at a young age. Having them in the house, having that time before bed, as I was brought up, reading. That is what's going to really, really help. So for that area, I know that was just for sixth grade reading, but I really wanted to specify and hone in on that because that's an issue that has been so persistent from year to year to year. And it saddens me when we get sixth grade students who are reading on kindergarten level.
Mhm.
And while I am there for that child, and we're all there for that child, it is so difficult to have a class of maybe 20, and not saying that everybody's on the same reading level, but to have that one child on that kindergarten level where then you have to provide instruction or you attempt to provide instruction on that kindergarten level. It is so heartbreaking.
Mhm.
And so I just really, really, really from the reading standpoint, would really, really love for all parents that are watching, please, please, please make books visible in your home.
Mm.
And I would add to that, I totally agree with that. So I teach reading as well. I'm reading grammar and social studies. And when you think about it, reading is in every subject.
Mhm. Mhm.
Every subject, even in math. There
Yep.
are so many work. It's not just 5 plus 5 or 20 times
Mm-mm.
7 anymore. You
No.
have to read that question, be able to understand that question in order to answer, in order to do the math.
Right.
So I agree, having those books in the home. I don't care. I tell my parents, I don't care if it's 20 minutes per day. Have them pick up a book and read it. Okay, you can't afford a book. Pretty much everybody has a cell phone, some type of technology. Go
Mm.
to Epic Books. Go to Storyline Online. Go online and let these kids read these books. And not only read them, they can listen to some of the books. And that helps them to be able to model how to read fluently. So I read to my kids every single day so that they can hear what fluent reading sounds like.
Mm-hmm.
So not only having them read to you, but also you read to them so that they can hear what that fluent reading sounds like.
Right.
And, understanding that my student is not where he or she needs to be, okay, I might send a book home. All right, practice reading this book. Read it with your parents. If your parents are working, because parents work, they get
Right.
some get home late at night. All right, if you have a sister or brother, read. Okay, you don't have a sister brother. All right, we are one-on-one. We are one-to-one school. So you have a laptop. Read to me. I want you to record it on your laptop and I'll listen to it tomorrow. So there are many avenues that you
Mm-hmm.
can take in order to address the needs of your child. But I also think communication with the teacher is very important. Having that communication and being open to hearing what the teacher has to say, what the concerns are, and what they're doing well in. So it's not just weaknesses or areas of growth, but there are students who thrive. All students thrive somewhere.
Right.
So you take
Right.
what they thrive in, get to know the students, take what they thrive in, and hone in there, and then you have them.
Mm. Start with your strength in order to build your weaknesses. That's a
Mhm.
great concept. And that's also an innovative way. That just answered my next question. That's a very innovative way to reach your children the best way that you can with everything that you have to meet them where they are, to try to
Mhm.
build them up, if not for the next level, but at least halfway.
Mhm.
So that is a very great concept. And my next question is, what do you do to expand your mind to be able to develop those innovative ways for your children? What do you do for you personally to do that?
Can you ask that
Jalen,
one more time? I'm sorry.
I can't. Are you muted, Jalen?
No, I'm here. I didn't know if
Okay.
if you want me to go first or
No, so okay, so the question is, what do you do personally to expand your mind to be able to develop those innovative ways for your students? I'll start with you, Jalen, since LaTosha just ended.
okay. So for me, continuously being in school, I just graduated high school, be 10 years next year. I need a break, but I'm still in it. I don't know why. I do know why, but there's a purpose. But continually being in school has really kept me on my toes because I'm learning something. I'm bettering myself, but I'm learning also things that I can implement in my classroom.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So, for example, I just graduated in 2020 from Kennesaw with Masters in Instructional Technology. That degree was probably the best timing and the best thing to get because I was able to, in that moment of us getting into this virtual learning, I was able to utilize in this one-to-one classroom setting a lot of the skills that I, learned from professors while taking those courses and obtaining that degree at Kennesaw. And so the way that I kind of just keep afresh of everything that's current and how to improve my teaching strategies and instructional strategies, I really, really stay in the press, so to speak, with what I am dealing with when I come home. When I come home, I'm inundated with schoolwork myself. And so
Mhm.
I'm learning, like for right now, as I'm pursuing my doctorate, I'm taking a course. I will be taking two courses. One of them right now is in social studies, and the other is in language arts. But the two are so interrelated that I'm able to take those things back into my classroom and try to integrate and implement. I also just got my reading endorsement back while at Kennesaw as well. And so having that endorsement kind of help me to implement and integrate those strategies that are necessary for the students to excel and to improve their reading comprehension and reading fluency skills. So as the students are learning, I'm also learning. And I think that's
Mhm.
something that is important for teachers to really just remember. I think we know it, but sometimes we just forget that we should always evolve. We should never get stagnant.
Yes.
When you get stagnant, you're getting in trouble then. Okay, you got to evolve. You want your kids to evolve. You want your kids to grow. You want your kids to learn. You got to stay learning and growing and evolving as well.
LaTosha, would you say you concur?
I I definitely do. I'll just add two things to that. I think also staying connected with your colleagues and that collaboration with your colleagues, that's helpful as well. And I'll venture out and say even social media. So on Facebook I follow so many educational pages, and they're constantly putting out resources and activities that they're doing that's beneficial, that I might not know how to do, but YouTube has everything. So I pull it up on YouTube. How do I do this?
Mm-hmm.
For example, when we went virtual, I was trying to figure out how can I keep my kids engaged? How can I keep them engaged looking at this computer screen all day?
Right.
I found out about the virtual classrooms, putting your Bitmoji in, linking different things in a virtual classroom. And when I tell you they were so engaged with that clicking, going to different sites and having different memes up there that would grab their attention. So social media is a platform that really keeps me informed. And as Jalen said, being in school is definitely beneficial.
And over time on your educational journey in the classroom learning and also in the classroom teaching, who has been your biggest mentors in that journey? LaTosha, we'll start with you.
I would have to venture. I have to.
Okay, maybe.
Well, let me be
A
careful.
few.
What- Now I will say Jalen has helped me out a lot too. So let me put
Okay.
that out there. But
Okay.
um, my husband, my mom, I'll say three, and all of my brothers have been supportive. But
Hmm.
my brother, who is a principal, he has been very supportive in pushing me, encouraging me that you can do this. But my husband, big time, staying up to 2, 3, sometimes 4 o'clock in the morning, and then having to get up the next day. He
Hmm.
pushes me. You can do it. You can do it. You can see the finish line. He's always encouraging me, and my mom sending text messages, and I that's my support system.
Right. Okay. Jalen.
When you first asked this question, I'm gonna be very honest. I had a little tear kind of trying to come out a little bit, but I have so many mentors. But and I'm probably gonna name just a few. But
That's fine.
my top one hands down is my mom.
Come on,
When
see.
I tell you she supports me. And I'm gonna try to say that without crying.
It's all right.
But she supports me wholeheartedly. And I'm just so appreciative and I'm so thankful for that support. And being that she is an educator, she has really been one to really understand the ins and outs, the things that we're dealing with. When I'm going through something and I don't quite understand what's going on, at work, I can call her and she will reel me back in.
Mhm.
She's that safe place. And I believe every teacher needs a safe place, a safe haven. So beyond my mom, like I said, I had several relatives that are educators. My Uncle Herman, the former mayor of Watley, Georgia, he was an educator in Jefferson County. As being a principal as well. My Uncle Honey, who passed away as well some years back, he was an educator. And so it just goes back. I have so many people in my family that have like shown and paved the way. And I'm just coming on through trying to just uphold the legacy as best I can. But yes, my top tier one, as the young folks would say, top tier, would be my mother.
All
And
right now.
Jasmine, can I add this?
Yes,
So
ma'am.
Jalen mentioned having a safe place.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll tell you this, Jalen, myself, and your sister-in-law, Tia Millhouse, we have like this group chat going, and that is my safe place because they can relate and they
Yeah.
know
Yeah.
what I'm going through. All we can just send a picture and they're just like, mm-hmm. But that we support one another.
Right.
And it's great to have someone that can understand and know what you're talking about, because I said my husband is my greatest support, but when I tell him things, he listens, but he can't really relate and like really just know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. And I think that is so important, not just in the teacher world, in
Oh
any
yes.
kind of career field,
Mhm.
any, entrepreneurship journey, any of that. You need someone that is either going through the same thing with you, or that has been through that same thing and understands exactly where you are and can give you a different outlook on what the situation is, and a different perspective on how you can try different things to not, be so, to not get burnt out, because you can get burnt out
Oh yes.
real quick. And you
Mhm.
have those moments where you're just like, okay, I come home, don't talk to me, give me 30 minutes. For you, Jalen, you good because you can come home and you like,
Right.
I go give me something to eat and I can chill.
Ain't nobody here but me and Netflix.
But when you are a spouse or a mom or a dad, and you have to, as soon as you get done, you got to go pick up the kids, you got to cook dinner, you got to clean, you got to get on another call or something. You have to have those moments where you digress. Because if you're on instant, constant go and go and go and go, you burn out real quick. And I know
Mhm.
just personally, for you, LaTosha, it's easy for you to, with a lot of the roles that you have, it can be busy.
Mhm.
So I definitely, I think that's for anyone. They need to have that space to where I can say, okay, this is my me time. Don't talk to me for an hour and a half and let me just do me. And in those moments, when you feel like, things are going wrong, or something may not have went the way you planned it, what do you feel you've gained from your failures in your educational journey?
Ooh. Um, I was actually talking to my students today. We were completing a reflection of our lesson. And I told them teachers reflect as well. So we look at what went well with this lesson, what did not go well. And sometimes you plan something and it is just a flop. Like it does not go nowhere near how you visualized it going. But you take that, you reflect upon it, what went wrong. I do a job list. What could I do? What can I do to improve this lesson? So I'm in elementary. I teach the same subject twice every day. So how it goes with the first group is not necessarily how it goes with the second group. So I have to take that and learn from it and reflect upon it to see how in the world can I make this better, not for me to look good, but so that the point can get across to them so that they
Mhm.
can grasp the concept. Do I need to, scale it back some? Or was it too easy? Do I need to extend it some? So you have to look at all avenues. Is it time to break into a small group to get to those who did not get it and extend to those who did? So, there are various ways that you do that, but I think reflection is very important. Day to day, moment to moment, even reflection is very important.
Jalen.
I just want to say amen and amen to everything Tasha said because it is so important. We make decisions, so many decisions, so quickly. We have to.
Mm-hmm.
That's what our job pretty much entails. And
Mm-hmm.
so, as she said, when she said the thing about what happens in one class may not happen with another. Luckily, I teach 5 periods a day. And I always say, kind of like what she said, that first period of the day is the trial run.
Right.
I don't know how it's gonna go because I can have it down. Because my coworkers will tell you I plan out, kind of early on for like the entire week. I'm sure Tasha and Tia, if she's on, they'll tell you I have my
She's
little
on.
plan. A little plan written, and I have it in. I have a vision of where I want what I want to do, where I want to take it when we're doing different lessons. How I want to start the lesson, how I want to proceed with the lesson, how I want to end and culminate the lesson.
Mm-hmm.
However, just because Jalen wants to do it that way doesn't mean that my 120 plus children are going to grasp it in the way and as quick as I would like them to grasp it in the way that I, prefer. So I have to be flexible. You have to reflect on what you've done. And that, like I said, that first period of the day, I'm able to then see, all right, that didn't go right. Don't do that second period. That's a no-no. All right, don't do that no more. And when that first period comes the next day, I say, hey, y'all, I'll be honest with them. I said, y'all, I'm human.
Exactly.
Let your students know you are human. You make mistakes. There's something that you may have left out that you told the other students. It is okay to be vulnerable.
That's right.
They respect you more when you're vulnerable. And so, like I said, I say amen to everything that she said. We've got to be able to reflect on what we've done, whether it worked well, what did not work well, so that we can make those changes. And another thing for me is what doesn't work well, I fix, but I also make sure that I jot it down so that I don't make the same mistake next year.
And that brings me into the last and final question for this evening. What would be your advice? And this is what I ask all of my guests on the show. What would be your piece of advice that you would give to that person that is thinking about becoming a teacher, on the journey to becoming a teacher, or just starting in their educational journey of teaching? What would be your piece of advice that you would give? And we'll start with you, Jalen, since you just ended.
I just knew it was Tasha. Tag you in. No. So my piece of advice to any new teacher would be to be yourself. Kids want to see who you are. They want to see who you are, not who you think they want to see. Be who you are, and they will love you for that. Another piece of advice would be to bring what you want to bring into your classroom, but don't be afraid to glean from others, glean from your peers. So it's important to be able to just have that community that you can rely on, that can steer you into a direction that is going to keep you in the profession. Because oftentimes new teachers get into this profession and they don't last long because the burnout is real.
Yes.
So again, I say be you and make sure that you have a community within your colleagues, within your peer group, within your teaching staff that you can rely on, glean from, and gather your resources and such that you may need to be successful and effective in your classroom.
Yes. I agree with everything he said. I would also say, know that you have a heart for this. Know that you have a heart for children, because every child that walks through your door, they might be a little rough around the edges. So you have to know how to navigate through that and push through that and still show them that love And I know firsthand that one day they're going to walk in and they're going to be that soft marshmallowy student that you want, but you have to go through those rough edges. And I would also say, ask questions. If you don't know, ask questions. And as Jalen said, your colleagues, lean and depend on your colleagues. They know that you're new, so I'm sure someone is willing to help you. Someone is willing to help you, and don't expect everything to go perfectly. As we just said, there are some things that's just going to be a flop, that's not going to go well, but take that and learn from it. Don't take it as, don't get discouraged, because it happens to the veteran teachers. It happens to those who have been teaching 15 and 20 years. So don't get discouraged. It will happen. And be open to learning. Be open to learning. Don't come in thinking that you know everything. So be open to receiving from those who have that wisdom to help you.
My God, today. Can you say that again? Be open to learning. Don't think you know everything. Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh, that'll help somebody right there. That's a word.
On the street.
Well, we have some thank yous in the comments. We have a lot of parents that are thanking you all for your transparency and your openness to even have this conversation, and being so helpful and giving your feedback in the classroom and what they can also do outside of the classroom as parents as well, that can help the parent and the teacher ultimately work together. I know it is going to be hard in some situations, and some is going to be a lot easier than others. But the parents thank y'all. just to just put it out there. The parents thank y'all. Okay. So, and I thank you all too as well for just lending your time from your very busy schedules. Both of y'all are in education, not only teaching, but in school also. And LaTosha, you have a whole entire family. So thank you all so much. And Mr. Dr. Heggs over here is on the journey to greatness. And I am excited about just you all's journey. And thank you so much for lending your time, lending your knowledge, and giving us an insight on in the classroom, in the minds, in just as teachers, okay, because we don't know what goes on in the classroom. So I feel like it was time for us to have some educators on here, and let's get a little bit of information that can help us parents out, to help you all as teachers to get on the journey to getting these kids out, because they are our futures. And if we don't put what we want them to have in their minds, it's not gonna happen. The internet is gonna teach them. Social media is, anything that's going on social media, it is easy to grab. You just said yourself, LaTosha, that anything is on YouTube. Anything is accessible on this little thing right here called a cell phone. You can go pull up anything. It's not blocked. They have all access to anything. And we have to be the ones that start the foundation of the right learning. It also starts with YouTube's, your foundation as well. God, let's put that out there. Let's go. That God covered a multitude, and put it start there and allow Him to lead you forward. You're not gonna always get it right. You're gonna have moments of self-doubt. You're going to have moments where fear tries to creep in. That's the enemy doing his job, and that's what he's supposed to do. But when you know and stand firm on what you believe in and stand firm on your faith, anything that you set your mind to, you can accomplish it. It may not look the way you want it to look. It may not go the way you planned it initially. But in the end, if that is what's meant for you, that's what you're going to get. And that starts in the house, in the classroom, in the car, on the way to the grocery store. It wherever you started it, that's where it's gonna go. Don't do that, Jalen. Don't do it. but that's my little spiel. I ain't have a whole lot to say because y'all been talking good tonight. Okay, so but again, thank you to each of you for just for being on the show. And thank to everyone that watched, that shared, that commented, that liked, that loved. Thank you all so much for your questions as well, Miss Erica Sharber, and also for the comments that were in here as well from the other teachers that were tuning in tonight, Miss Tia and Tamara. Thank you all so much. Um, Catch me back here next Wednesday, live at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This has been yours truly, Jasmine D. Millhouse, here on The Fly Show. And remember to first love you because you absolutely deserve it. You all enjoy the rest of your evening. Good night.